Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Into the Radius Developer Q&A. I'm the Community Manager for ITR. You might know me as Darius. And with me today is the producer for ITR, Alexei Shulga. You've most likely seen him before in our previous Q&A videos or on our official Discord, where he is known as Vector. Not too long ago, we asked our community to submit questions to the developers, and there were so many we couldn't possibly cover them in a single video. So if your question doesn't show up here, don't worry. We will most likely answer it in an upcoming FAQ, actually this January. So without further ado, let's dig into your questions. And our first question will be, is there anything that you can confirm you'll be adding to Into the Radius?
Thank you, Darius, for the questions. Well, that is I think the most asked question is like, what is going in the game and what not? Like, we have a lot of ideas. Like, imagine like the suggestion channel that we have and double that by 3, and that's about like how much ideas we have. So it's a matter of picking and choosing what we can do, what we can't, and like. But what is definitely going to be added is new guns. Like we have some in work in progress. So yeah, more guns will be definitely there. We will definitely improve on the grabbing system with the hands. Like, for example, we're a bit of fed up with grabbing the air around the drawers. So yeah, that thing needs to go. So yeah, proper grabbing of drawers, doors.
So it's for immersion,
Yeah,
like more realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, because our the game is getting more like Steam right now, so it's a more of like things that we should have from the start. But we would love to like do everything, but yeah.
No, understandable, of course. By the way, on the topic of ideas, recently we asked our community to share their crazy ideas. So maybe like different zones, anomalies, whatever they want. So it's actually to you, the community. You might have noticed on Reddit, on Twitter, and on our Discord, we posted a Google form where you can submit your crazy ideas for Into the Radius. So more power to you.
Yeah, in that regard, we are actually like we received the feedback and we know it ourselves that during the 2.0 transition, the game a bit lost of its surreal appeal because like there's not. So we are eager to like bring it back. So in the upcoming months, we will ramp it up, and that's why we are asking you for your ideas, and also, basically that's one of the things that is definitely going to happen.
Awesome! I can't wait to, and I'm sure the players can't wait to see more. And our second question, these, by the way, are all random, so none of them are actually just going from one to the other smoothly. No, they can be, you don't know what to expect. So our next question is, what motivated you to create the game? So here's a question for about an hour.
It was like 2017 or something. Like we got HTC Vive in our office. Like the boss brought it from some conference, and like so we tried some games. Like there was the Space Pirate Trainer, and I think the Google the Lab.
So I don't know what they are. So long ago.
Yeah, there was like the pretty primitive games, but and basically there was Oculus, but Oculus Rift, but it didn't have a controllers, like no hand tracking there. So it was supplied with a gamepad. You were supposed to like put on your HMD and play with the gamepad. But quickly I kind of found out that the hand, like having controllers, is a big thing, and everybody right there like everybody was very concerned with motion sickness and like, oh, you can do like free locomotion, you can do this, you need only teleport games, and so that's why the games need to be room scale or small.
Very restricted, yeah, very restricted.
Like very restricted. The hardware is very restricted, and I was like, fuck that. Like I want a proper game. Like I'm a kind of hardcore PC gamer, like not like multiplayer, but like the
single player,
single player games mostly. So I decided like, okay, I'll just start doing my own because nobody's doing it anyway. So I just started fiddling around in Unreal Engine, and I basically picked up like this stalker-like theme.
The vibe, such a vibe.
Yeah, the vibe for various reasons, but and actually I made a prototype, and through a series of prototypes, this kind of the Enter the Radius was born. Yeah, basically what motivated me is the lack of content, because I wanted a great deep game with long gameplay that you can really immerse yourself into, with some like realistic firearms. Because of course, like, and also I wanted to like something share of my some like life experience, because I like been playing airsoft a lot. I also was a year in the army, so I kind of know a bit about this kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. I actually didn't know that you had your own experience also play a part in this, your life experience.
So basically, everybody, like our lead programmer is an avid airsofter, or like game designer was an airsoft. Like basically, lots of us played airsoft, or like were in this kind of theme. Yeah, that's kind of the main driver behind creating Into the Radius.
Awesome. That's actually very cool. One of our answers often when we talk about how Into the Radius was created, that it was also inspired by how do you call it in English? I actually forgot.
Roadside picnic?
Yeah, roadside picnic. That's the one. It skipped my mind, yeah. I'm thinking in both languages, so it's very difficult sometimes. But yeah, roadside picnic. So I assume that book also played a role in it, right?
Yeah, sure. Like, because of the Stalker game, like I played all the games, I played the mods, and basically, but I'm not very fan of how they changed the original book, because there's like those mutants, and like the zone is kind of this incomprehensible being, but it's not. And I thought that there is plenty of room for another interpretation, because I didn't want to go to go with the book, because for obvious like copyright reasons. But on the other hand, there is like no shooting in the book. They only shoot at the heroes and they don't shoot back, so it doesn't make like very nice gameplay. So yeah, that's kind of one of the inspirations for the world building. And the other thing is basically I'm not a huge fan of like clear black and white morals.
Yeah, so that fits with the gray aesthetic of the game very much. Yeah.
Yes, and like the way the organizations treat you is that you see that kind of, you think that they are evil, but they are actually not. But for you, it's evil. They just
it's morally gray. It's very ambiguous. You don't know which one it is exactly. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was a very in-depth answer. Thank you. I didn't know half of that story, and I've been part of the team for several months. So next question is, do you think more enemy types could improve gameplay? Do you believe that having many enemies in a tight space is good or bad for this game? very specific sort of question, but maybe you can.
Well, I think
answer.
I'll answer from the second part first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think is like having lots of enemies in the tight space is actually a good gameplay for Into the Radius. I would love to be more like focused on the long range engagement, so it will you will have choice to use your guns basically different, not just pick like fastest shooting one or the shotgun is just like clearing everything, or using like forcing you to use the grenades always. So actually it's nice to have kind of both, but there is lots of games that do like close quarters those zombie games. I think are mostly in that like regard.
Yeah.
So I think the Radius is going to focus mostly on like longer side. That's why we like changed the mimics. Like they are more common now. They have more weapons to have actually more shooting and less stabbing things. And as for the other enemies, like, well, yes, the game can become better if we have a bit more enemies, but like we still have the enemies that we have that are not like working 100% up to their like up to their role. Dedicated like the sliders, they have like some technical issues and maybe some design issues here and there. So there is a plenty of room of tweaking the current enemies before we introduce the totally new ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. There's not really much point in introducing new types, and the previous ones are still kind of buggy or kind of messy.
Yeah, I'm talking not mostly about like the bugs, but actually about the design. Maybe like some things in the design can be slightly changed or improved, and the enemy will feel much better.
Oh, okay.
Actually work much better in the situation.
All right. Can you give us an idea of how successful the game has been for your team?
Well, the game was quite a rocky ride because like I started it solo, then we developed in 1.5 man, then like up to 3 man, and when we launched the game, it was like 3.5. Now we are actually a team of 10. So dedicated specialists. So yeah, that is kind of a successful game in my regard, and we are. I hope we're still growing in terms of like our plans and our scope. So yeah.
Oh, you just managed to cover 2 questions with one answer, because the next question was how many people work on the game and for how long. So you answered both of those.
Okay, telepathy.
Yep. And well, in terms of success, I guess that's how you measure it. So you measure success by, well, since we're growing and the team is growing and we're still working on it, that means it's a successful game, right?
Yeah, basically we have enough income to like make the work to continue developing the game, to grow the game, to improve the game. And like 2.0 is one of the, I think, the showing factors that we actually owned up and like came to like fix the things that like most developers don't. Like they just do a second part like Into the Radius 2 or something. And we came and like owned up to our mistakes and like, yeah, wanted to make the game better.
I see. Now, what mechanics of the game were the most fun to work on or / implement?
It's actually interesting question because like fun is a very vague concept.
Yes.
There's sometimes funny moments, so like when you develop the AI, for example, for the mimics, I mostly do it myself. There is fun when like you teach them how to wage war against the human, but you can't make them too good or too bad at it. Well, at least you try not to. So yeah, that's kind of an ongoing, complex, but quite fun thing to work on. And the other one is just prototyping the artifacts and anomalies. We actually have tons of anomalies and artifacts that are not in game because or for various reasons. Some are not, like we just tried and like, oh, they are too complex or they are not fun or they like require like too much work actually to
a lot of
implemented.
resources.
A lot of resource, like a fun idea, but like too complex. And like over the years, we have like loads of that kind of thing. But it is sometimes just prototyping something new is much more fun than just refactoring something or fixing some bug somewhere in the gun. Yeah, I think that's the most fun parts.
Now, is multiplayer, here's a question that probably everybody has asked us. At least I think it's the #1 most popular question that I've seen. Is multiplayer an idea for ITR in the future? Or does the team want ITR to remain single player?
Well, multiplayer is just a lot of work. Basically, if you want to do multiplayer, you need to make the game from scratch multiplayer. And we haven't done that. So like remaking the game from scratch is not actually what we want to do.
3.0, 3.0.
Like for such a feature. And actually, there is lots of things that won't work with multiplayer, like for example, like people imagine like, oh, I would be multiplayer with my buddies, but like most of the players don't have a body. Or actually like going with random, it like kills the immersion. You would need all sorts of like lobbies, you would need all sorts of like friend system, it's not worth actually doing it half-assed. You would need to like do it proper way, and doing it proper is like making just a whole, basically a new game.
Yeah, just a couple of years, a couple of extra years, just just to implement all of that. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, would better like spend that time on something else. And the only way for multiplayer to actually be included into the radius is this sort of like an asynchronous multiplayer, like Dark Souls or Death Stranding type, when you encounter some sort of like messages or traces of the other people. It kind of blends in with the lore, and I wouldn't exclude it, but that's as far as I would go about it.
Yeah, that would now everybody's going to speculate about that. Now everybody's going to expect weapons popping up from other players, like something like a gas mask suddenly appears that shouldn't be there. Like, they've added multiplayer. Oh boy, yeah, but I guess all I can do is just like fingers crossed. Sure, that sounds incredible for this type of game. I mean, even thematically, it as you pointed out, it makes sense. So let's just go on to the next question before theories just pop up everywhere and everybody goes insane. What is the end vision or end goal for this game? Do you have like a full picture? You think like, oh, now it's perfect, or now it has everything, sort of thing.
No, like, well, maybe when it's perfect, it's like one game to rule them all. Actually, when you buy VR, you like buy automatically into the radius, and like if you don't have VR, like you buy VR for Into the Radius, and like even
Yeah, it's a system seller. Yeah, it basically sells
Well,
VR.
but yeah, it's kind of the end goal. Maybe the point when I'm going to say, okay, then maybe I'm content. Maybe not. I don't know, like right now. But we prefer to think of it as an ongoing effort, as long as they're in interest in the community. Like we can develop it, and
as long as you have interest as well, like as long as you love doing it. So
yeah, but
course.
like even for me, like once the product it starts to live its own life, like if there is like interest for 20 years, maybe like somebody else can pick it up. Like I'm not obliged to work on it for like till the end of my days, but
of course, yeah, I understand. Okay, so that's a very nice answer. I really like it. What is the team's stance on DLCs? Will there be any post-game content with DLC paywalls? Maybe.
Well, the current I wouldn't call it stance, but like yeah, the current thinking is that we are much better off including the content freely into the base game. It's much better for everybody than including some sort of funnel paywall. Yeah, but we are not currently against the DLC. Maybe we can like for a way for the community to support us, for example, doing some sort of supporter pack with art and
music, stuff
music,
like that, yeah.
Or some sort of cosmetic, I don't know, like gun paint job or
something
like,
you don't particularly need to enjoy the full game. So to enjoy the full experience,
yeah, maybe we can think about something along those lines
in the future. I assume it's not something.
Yeah, it's not like next week or something.
Yeah, suddenly, boom, DLC. No, it's just forward thinking. Like maybe yes, maybe no. We'll look into that basically.
Yeah, but basically you can. Yeah, what do you guys think about it? Please let us know.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes, you're doing my job for me. Yeah, what do the players think? Do you think it's a good idea to add actually DLC for stuff like music, art books, customization, just anything that comes into mind? I think we'll definitely have polls on this, maybe even some Google forms on people's thoughts, so that we can hear their ideas. Maybe to come up with something like we didn't even think about. Definitely an extra question. It doesn't really fall in line with DLCs, but people often ask us about merch, about Into the Radius merchandise. So when do you think that will ever be a possibility?
Well, like I know there is interest in the community, but actually making a good merch is quite time consuming because you need to like design a good merch, you need to find a partner to produce it, you need someone to actually ship it, control it, like handle all the basically things that happen in the mail all the time with physical stuff. So it's actually quite a huge undertaking that we currently think our time is actually better spent making the game better.
Yeah.
Once the community grows, maybe like more, then we can return to this.
Yeah,
idea.
we can return to it. Besides, apart from all the resources that it requires, also COVID isn't making things easier, and with so many restrictions around the world concerning like mail and stuff, it really is a nightmare currently to think about merchandise. So maybe when the game does expand and the community is bigger and we have more resources and more abilities, like sure, I think merchandise would be, there are so many things I can imagine as merch, like the mimics, the sliders, the spawns, just all of that, like plushy toys out of them. Like, oh, that would be very nice. Um, how different is the current version of the game from your original idea, if at all? So way back when you were talking about how you came up with the idea for the game, um, did you think at first, oh, here's how this is going to look? And of course, many years later, has it drastically changed?
Well, yes, it's changed quite a lot. Because like the first, even the like early access version, like okay, maybe the first plan for the game was actually not to have any save game at all. It was like a purely session-based game. So there is a hub, there is a radius, you come to the radius, and like once you come back, that is saved. You can think about it as like Escape from Tarkov style, something but like single player. And you couldn't take anything from hub to the radius. You basically came in almost naked. I think you could have only probes or a knife or something.
It was very hardcore, very, very difficult. Basically.
So you would need to scavenge. There were some sort of like crates and stuff that is scattered around that you like, you would get random mission and you would need to think, oh, maybe I need to go and like scavenge some equipment first, and maybe I need to raid it here and like plan my route and go there. But it was too hardcore. It was like,
yeah, that sounds
hardcore.
That sounds
because
ridiculous.
Like it was actually like fun to play, like at least for me. But because the learning curve was very steep, because you would need to learn, like once even on your first run into the radius, you would need to know everything. You need to know how all the guns work. You need to know how how to use everything, because you don't have control what you get. So you need to be prepared to get like.
So it was random, yeah, anything.
Like it's not completely random, but it was like quite like variation was very high. So that
was the original concept basically for the game. Yeah. So an ultra hardcore, just survival, like beyond belief, no saves.
Yeah. And like it's session based, you do the session, you like return, and then like we thought that we would allow you to have some meta game, like have the money basically you bring back from the mission that would allow you to like buy some sort of container that will allow you to bring the gun in, or something like the small container for the pistol, or something like the larger containers for the guns. Like the lore was that basically once you go into the fog, if you bring something metal, including metal on you, then you don't come out on the other side, you just die. There were crazy like metal hungry things inside the fog. Basically, we had such fantasies, but yeah, it changed gradually towards the concept that we have now.
Yeah, it's evolved, I think, drastically compared to that original idea. That's actually very well. I guess that's how all games go. I can't imagine not a single game comes to mind where the original idea was one thing and then it came out and it was the exact same thing, or it was very similar. They usually always change so much.
Yeah, mostly it happens only to the clones, when you like take the game and the concept and you just clone it or reskin it or something. But when you try to develop something, because like, people tell, Into the Radius is Stalker VR, but actually, like if you look gameplay wise, or like
if you look deeper beyond the surface and just beyond the cover of the book, you see a lot.
But even like even the cover is a bit different. So it's actually the theme is the same. yeah, that's like how similar they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are artifacts, there are anomalies, there are enemies. Yeah. That's how similar they are. And yeah, over the years, the game evolved. We dropped some of the concepts. Like the first, we introduced the saves, then we introduced the shop, and so like you have what we have now.
Yep. Okay. Next up, we only have 2 questions left, actually. And this one is very serious, as always, because this character, um, what was your reaction to the backlash from removing Pecho, and where is he? I'll quickly answer who is Pecho for those players who don't know. There used to be a bug in the game where we have such enemies in the game. They're known as spawns. They're such little blobs with dark blobs with tentacles running around. And there used to be a bug where some of them wouldn't attack the player. So you'd come across a spawn and he would just be running around, maybe running around you or whatever, just doing his own thing. And people came to, as time went on, people got very friendly with the guy. They're like, oh my God, it's a little friendly spawn. And one of our community members, I can't remember, I'm very sorry, I can't remember their name, Explorer and Number, they called him Pecho, in honor of Pechorsk. So I guess, well, there's, and to finish the story, and a couple of months ago, we released an update where we fixed that bug. So there were no longer any friendly spawns, and the people got a little mad, I guess. No, but I don't think. Well, at least I did not expect that backlash, and that was the first time I ever heard of Pecho, because it was suddenly so loud and just out of nowhere. People on our official Discord just went crazy over him. So please answer the question: what was your reaction to the removal of Pecho, to the backlash from removing Pecho?
Well, the first reaction was like, "What, Pecho?"
What's a Pecho?
kind of like I kind of like I'm reading the Discord, but I don't read it like every day or like every line. So when I mostly like scroll it, and I have encountered like the Pecho before, but I kind of didn't know what's it linked. Okay, some sort of a local meme. Okay, maybe. Yeah, and like and when the backlash started, it was like, oh, now I know what Pecho is. So we discussed it internally, and like that is actually what community wants to have, and that Pecho will be returned to the game, but not in the form of a bug, at least like because it was just a random happening at random to any spawn, and like if you save the game, like it's just like a bug basically. So to do that, we would need some like planning and actually thinking about how to better integrate it into the game. That's why we are not doing it like fast enough, I think. But that's the thing, is that we want to do it kind of into a fun feature.
Yeah, we want to do it right, basically. You want to do it right, yeah. So that it works, and maybe it'll be a pet, maybe not. I don't know. Well, I personally don't know. Maybe you already have some ideas of how you want to implement Pecho.
Yeah, but right now it's mostly living as a mascot. Like how can I tell about the emojis?
Sure. Yeah, maybe I think this video will be released after we already publish our first emojis. Yeah. So a mascot is, I think, is a very good very good term for Pecho. And
So yeah, he's living in the metaverse around the game for now.
yes, Pecho in the metaverse. This is actually probably personally my favorite occurrence so far. As far as I've been working on ITR, it's definitely the fact that out of a meme, out of just the community backlash, out of a bug, a character was born. So just this Pecho was born out of, I guess, just sheer love of the community for a little friendly spawn running around. And now, boom, I guess we'll have him in the game one day, fully fledged, like his own name, everything. He's even getting his own emojis. I mean, he's unstoppable, yeah. So, our final question for this Q&A will be, what are your plans specifically for 2022? Do you have a schedule?
Yeah, we have a schedule for updating the game, so we aim it into doing bi-monthly updates. Like the first one is already like in December.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. The next one is February, then I think April. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes from there. So what is included in those updates, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, of
Because
course.
we actually like tried going with the roadmap before, like publishing it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a series of broken promises or something like we don't want to actually tie ourselves to. We would better be more agile to react to actually the things that happen. For example, if we planned everything like a year from the start and then the Pecho happened, then like we would be
Yeah, what do we
forced
do?
to,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
we we can't like, or we will break our promises, or like
Mm-hmm.
we need to like do all sorts of things. So for now, we just stick that the game is evolving, the game is being actively developed with bi-monthly updates with some sort of like a mix of like quality of life improvements, balance changes, new features, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just spread out over like some updates will have more new features, some less, but yeah, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
our schedule.
So it's going to be just quality of life improvements plus new content. Well, I mean, like features and
Like
new content.
yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. There is no, you can't say it's going to be 50-50, like it's going to be like 60-40,
Um,
stuff like that. We don't know how it's
no,
going to go.
it depends on the update. Some updates will be more like feature heavy, some less. Like
Mm-hmm.
because some features take more time than 2 months actually, so we
Mm-hmm.
can like separate them and release something like continue working on it through more time, so we can release it next month, kind
Okay.
of.
Well, so basically, what you, the community, can expect from us, more or less, like guaranteed, is that our big updates, the ones that are 2-point number, will be bi-monthly. So 2.1 in December, 2.2 in February, and so on and so forth. As for the third number you see in every update, those are the hot fixes or like minor. Well, usually it includes bug fixes. I'm correct. Yes. So
Yeah, like it's usually like bug fixes or some balance changes if
yeah,
we see
balances.
something like is not working like correctly balance wise, we just
Hmm.
patch it in the minor version.
Yeah, and those are the patch. Those are the updates that you see go 2.1.0, 2.1.1, 0.1.2, etc., etc. So those are the minor patches, and they'll be sprinkled out throughout the 2 months where you wait for a big patch. So that's what you can definitely expect from us. And this is actually the end of our Q&A session. I hope that these Q&A videos, we can release them maybe once every 3 months. So I guess, does that sound more or less reasonable, more or less possible? So for example, this one comes out in December. Our next one comes out maybe in March. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe earlier. Like,
Mhm. Hopefully, yeah. I guess, and before every Q&A session, we will ask our community to flood us with questions, just like this time. And again, if your question didn't make it into this Q&A, and I'm sure there are a ton of questions that didn't make it into this one, don't worry, we will answer them in our future FAQs. And our next FAQ is coming in January, and then another one in January, most likely, just to cover as many questions from the community as possible. So, do you have any parting words before we end this session?
yeah, I'd like to actually thank the community for sticking to us from all the lows and highs. You actually been a great support even from the start. We are actually like blessed with having like supportive actually community that yeah, it's helps us as the developers to make the product better, but actually as a human beings to like when you come to work and you read like, hey, like thanks for the game, or like this one works great. Of course, like we don't need, expect to like people to praise us or something, but it actually matters when you
Yeah.
talk good things about the game. So yeah, thank you for your continued support, and let's see how can we make the Radius even better game for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah. I completely agree. I second it. It's very uplifting to read so many positive comments from the community. And as a community manager, a person who always scans through this stuff, through the reviews, through the feedback, it's very nice to read so much positive stuff about the game, and I've been loving it. I've been absolutely loving. I've been loving the game, the community, the team, and we can't wait to deliver more awesome stuff on Into the Radius. So that's the end of our Q&A session officially. We'll see you all next time, I guess. All right, bye everybody.
Bye, guys.